All right, folks, thank you for tuning in. I apologize for the 3 minute delay, but I appreciate everybody that's was having patience and being able to not get too little out of hand a little bit. I know it was a little bit of a wait to wait, but I appreciate everybody that was able to wait and until I came in. So thank you for that. Good evening, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. I hope everyone's having a good week so far at work and everything else you do in your lifetime. I know it's crazy to think about that. It's already week 6. Week 6, baby. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about. We're finally in week 6. I mean, I don't even know how it all happened. It felt like just yesterday the season just started, and now we're getting off to the right track where now we're in week 6 already, and we're almost going to be probably almost just about to the halfway point of the season. That's just crazy to really believe. We got a few more weeks, and then we'll be right at the half point of the season in terms of, crucial time of playoffs and, what have you. So thank you guys for coming in. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope everybody's having a good week, and I'm ready to talk about some football, guys. I'm ready for all the different games that are going on this week. I know it's going to be a little bit of some games, primetime games, I know are going to be a little bit off, going to seem a little bit off and whatnot, but we're going to try to do the best that we can. Hopefully some of those games that are not really the greatest matchups right now end up being like some of the better games than we thought. And, if you're ready to, use your betting money and be able to bet on some games this week, that's always a good thing too. So, that's something to look forward to. So I'll give you guys the best predictions that I give you. I'll give you the best predictions straight up and against the spread as well. But just remember, I'm not really keeping track of my against the spread record until probably next year once I get everything all figured out and the bets and everything. That will be like more of me keeping track of not just the straight ups, but keeping track of the spread as well. But before we get started with the week 6 predictions, make sure you drop a like on this video. Make sure you drop a like, and also too, if you want to give me any sort of feedback as far as how I'm doing so far, as far as like, what have you, and maybe even content. What other content would you guys like me to see? Would you like me to just continue talking about football? Would you like me to talk about a different sport maybe? I know college wrestling's coming up. Is that something that you guys might be interested in? Just leave a comment down below, and that's really going to help me come a long way as well on my YouTube channel. And also just hit the subscribe button as well. I really want some subscribers. I want people to continuously tuning in consistently, especially on Tuesday and Wednesday nights every week for the weekly predictions and the weekly reviews as well. So, subscribe, hit that like button, hit the comments down below, and let's begin with our first game. Our first game for the evening we're going to be talking about a little bit, and I'll give you my prediction on it, is the Washington Commanders, who are traveling to Chicago to play the Bears. Now, the Bears, I look at FanDuel Sports, and they give me the best estimate, like the best, the best bet of, not best bet, but maybe like the spread of the right now at the period. So right now the Bears are favored by 1 point. So this is a game, it's not really a great matchup. Well, I'll throw that out there right now. It's not the greatest matchup in the world, but I feel like this game kind of leans a little bit more towards the Commanders than it does the Bears, because I think the Commanders really are not that bad of a team. They're not playing good, but they're really not that bad of a team on paper. I think they match up pretty evenly with the Bears secondary and their defense. I feel like they can run the ball a little bit on this team. That is something that that's kind of like the weakness point of the Bears defense is the run defense. So that's something the Commanders could do. But Carson Wentz could also put up a really good game and put up a field day too. But without, just besides Scary Terry too. But he also has some really good receivers too, like Jahan Dotson, who might be playing in this game. I'm not sure yet. They do have some good receivers that could do some really good things for this team as well. So that's something to kind of look forward to. And maybe they'll match up pretty well against the Bears secondary and maybe even kind of juke them out a little bit. Maybe be able to figure out their scheme and be able to beat them a little bit. better. And on the Bears side, there's really not much about the Bears side that's really exciting or anything to really write home about. The only kind of offense that the Bears do have right now is the running game. Other than that, there's nothing else really to for the Bears to really write home about. So it's kind of a weird game to figure out. It's a weird game to kind of have on prime time. It's the Washington Commanders' first time on prime time this year, so it's a little bit funky of how that's going to work out. We'll see how they do prime time. I'm not expecting them to do a whole lot, although they are kind of heavily. They're a little bit favored. It's kind of more like towards their advantage a little bit. Whereas I feel like they can definitely win this game, but I feel like if the Bears defense gets enough pressure to the offensive line to Carson Wentz, which is kind of been a weakness point this year for the Commanders, is their uh, offensive line that was supposed to be pretty good this year, has not really been up to par of where they're supposed to be. So I feel like the Bears could get some pressure on Carson Wentz and maybe even get some turnovers and maybe some sacks as well, which is something that is very likely to happen. And because it's in Chicago, it's tough for me to, with these kind of games, it's really tough for me to pick against the Bears in this kind of hostile environment of Chicago. Because let me tell you guys, let let Kirk Cousins tell you, let Aaron Rodgers tell you, regardless of like their records and how they played against the Bears, those are like quarterbacks and teams that have historically struggled in playing in Chicago just because of how rough the fan base is and how rough the environment is and how rough Chicago is as a whole. So that's something to really keep in mind of. So I'm going to do the same thing. I think for my straight up, I would take the Bears as my straight up to win in maybe kind of like a slight upset, because I think with what they can take advantage of is a very lacking Washington Commanders defense that has not played very well this year. At least they have not played up to expectations, to at least in my opinion. I think they take advantage of that. I think they run the ball pretty well with David Montgomery. Khalil Herbert could probably get some split time with him too. And then you got Justin Fields, who's also very good on the ground too. He can make some plays on his feet. And there's not really a whole lot of receivers ends of the Bears either that kind of scares anybody. But I think if the Bears are going to beat the Commanders in any way, it's going to be their run game. It's going to be like the old school 1950s way of how to beat a team. So I'm taking the Bears to win the straight up. And as far as the spread goes, I think the spread of the Bears goes well, but you could also take the +1 for the Commanders to also cover by a spread, because I don't think it's going to be necessarily a blowout game. I think it's going to be kind of a tough game for either team to really score a lot of points on each other, just because of how, bad like their offenses have been playing or their quarterbacks have been playing this year. So that's how I would look at. I'm going to take the Bears as the straight up in a slight upset, and I'm going to take the Commanders. I would take the Commanders for the +1. So that's how I'm going to do that. All right, next game I'm going to talk about is the Baltimore Ravens, who are traveling to New York, or really in my case, they play in East Rutherford, New Jersey. The New York G-Men, the New York Giants. The Giants team that has been playing very feisty for the first 5 weeks of the season. The Giants, who are 4-1, are coming off of a good win against the Green Bay Packers. But here's the catch. It was not in Green Bay. We all know where it was. It was in London. So that made the big difference there. Maybe the big break that the Giants really needed to play in London and not on Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Then you've got the Baltimore Ravens, who are also coming off of a nice win against the Bengals, a come from behind win. They were kind of leading really for most of that game. They took pretty much control of the whole game. The defense played a lot better than they did the last few weeks. Their defense played a lot better. I thought there was better play calling, but they keep going for it on fourth down. I don't understand the purpose of that. I don't know why they keep going on fourth down when they don't really need to, but they have, and there's not much that we can do at this point. So, I mean, I really want to take the Giants here. I really want to take the Giants so that way they could be 5-1 for like the first time. And oh boy, I don't know how long it's been since the Giants have been 5-1. I really want to take the Giants here, but It's very hard for me to pick for them. I don't know. I mean, listen, I have said the Giants can definitely make the playoffs. They're playing their best football that they played in a very long time. But this Ravens team also is very good on offense. I think it's very hard to stop Lamar Jackson. And even though he does not have like the receivers of like Marquise Brown anymore like he used to, he still has, Lamar can still be Lamar. Lamar can still be successful in anything that he does. And he's successful with obviously his rushing attack. He can run the ball, he can do whatever he is. He's a running back slash quarterback. It's something that he's very good at doing, and that's something that a lot of teams still have not figured out yet. That will definitely challenge Martindale to come up with some kind of defensive scheme to slow down the run of Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. So maybe he might be able to contain some of the Ravens and what they do in the rushing attack of things. I don't know, maybe. But the Ravens don't have a lot on offense either that kind of really scares them. I think really the biggest thing really is Mark Andrews. And Devin Duvernay actually has been playing, he's getting himself involved in this offense. He's getting more involved. He's more equipped to the offense now. I think he's both special teams and he's also playing the receiver end of things as well. So that's something to really look forward to. So that's kind of my reason why I can't pick the Giants to win. I have to go with the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens to win this game. I'm not sure if they cover the 5.5 because I think that is a little bit much considering of what the streakiness of the defense for the Ravens is. We don't really know how they're really going to react defensively, so that could give some problems to them. But at the same time, too, I mean, the defense can also play really hot too, and get to Jones and be able to do what they need to do. So I mean, I could see that kind of play going either way. But I'm taking the Ravens to win. Not sure if I would take the spread. I think that's a little much to really ask, but maybe kind of focus more on like the parlay of this game, maybe, and see where you can get off with that. So I'll look more into this game. And if you're going to bet on any Sunday games, guys, I would advise you to probably wait like the night before just to see like if the spread goes up or if it goes down, and just keep in contact too with the injury reports too, because that's going to be a crucial part of the NFL season. So Ravens straight up, but it's probably going to be a pass for me in terms of the betting game. All right, so for the second time this season already, the Jacksonville Jaguars, are traveling to Indianapolis to play the Colts. The Colts are 1.5 favorites. So we saw last time the Jacksonville Jags absolutely positively demolished the living crap out of the Colts. The Colts could not score any sort of points whatsoever, and they just could not keep themselves in the game. It's very hard for me to pick the Jags again because the Jags have had some couple rough games of the past couple of weeks. The Eagles, where Trevor Lawrence had some turnovers, some problems with the turnovers. That's always tough to have, and just didn't really play well. But here's the catch, though. I think the defense of Jacksonville is playing better than a lot of people expected, including myself. I was not expecting the defense to play as good as they have been playing, and they're playing well. I think they match up well against a struggling Colts offense that just can't get any points or move the ball in any way right now as it is. Matt Ryan is just, a statue at this point in his career. He's just not the guy for this team. He's going to be the continuous carousel of quarterbacks for the Colts from time to come. He's just not the same old guy. He's not really getting any better with this team. And the only reliable player right now that's healthy enough that can play is Michael Pittman. And you can't always trust Michael. You can't always rely all of your injuries and all of your problems on one player. You have to start learning how to play as like one full team. And the Colts have not done that yet. Even with the 2 wins that they had, they were both very sloppy games that those where they got those 2 wins, and they were against the Chiefs. Very sloppy game, but the defense came through to them and, kind of got lucky here and there on the Chiefs. And the Colts also just got lucky again against the Broncos. They probably, I can't say they should have lost. They probably should have lost but they were not good against the Broncos either. So they have not had a good game yet. And it's disappointing to see because I thought the Colts were going to be like a dark horse for the Super Bowl this year for this league. So it's a tough game. It's a division game. I can really see kind of either one of these teams going. But the spread of 1.5 is good. I probably would wait until Sunday. Maybe it'll go down to 1, maybe 2. But I'm gonna take Jacksonville as I'm gonna take Jacksonville as the straight up because I just feel like Jacksonville will find a way to get themselves back on track. And for whatever reason, they always give the Colts problems. The Colts always have a hard time beating them, or they just can't beat them at all. In that case, they absolutely demolished them last time. So I'm going to take the Jags to win do the spread. I'm sorry, take the straight up. And as far as the spread goes, I would probably take the -1 against the 1.5 against the Colts, or you could do what I did last time and bet on the money line for the Jags to win this game. Either or kind of works for me. So that's how I'm going to do it. Go Jags. All right, next game. The New England Patriots, who are traveling their way to Cleveland to play to the Cleveland Browns, who are 2.5 favorites in this game. Now, the Browns are a better team. I'm going to say this right now. The Browns are a better team than the Patriots are in terms offensively. Or in this case, maybe I'll take that back a little bit. The Browns are pretty evenly matched with the Patriots. Now, a while ago when I first did my predictions, and maybe a couple of weeks ago when the Patriots defense was playing pretty hot and they looked like they were getting themselves back on track after some real tough loss against the Dolphins. They looked like they were coming back on the right track. I think both teams are matched up pretty well. I don't expect this to be like last year's game where it was in New England and Baker Mayfield, got absolutely demolished. So it was like, I think it was like 45-7, and the Browns only had one lead in that whole game, and that was like the only touchdown of the whole game that they had. I don't expect that game to really be like a blowout like that this time. It's kind of tough to pick between the two teams because they're just both wildly inconsistent this year. The Patriots we don't know if Mac Jones is playing. I have not heard anything about Mac Jones playing in this game, and if he does, it might make some more sense to pick the Patriots. But if it's Bailey Zappi, I don't know. I mean, Damian Harris is hurt. Maybe they'll have to rely more on Ramondre Stevenson. And I just don't know. Maybe and can this defense really stop the run of the Browns because they do have the best running back duo right now with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. That's going to be pretty hard for them to stop. And Jacoby Brissett is kind of up and down too. He's had some good games, and he's also had some games too that was kind of like head scratching questions like what are you doing, guy? So that's tough for me to pick between the two teams because I think they're both very evenly matched. They both match up well with one another. I think they're both going to really conserve the game and run the ball quite a bit. And speaking from like the Browns perspective, that would be my best way to beat Bill Belichick and this defense. While the Patriots defense is still pretty good, I think they're still a tough unit to play against. But at the same time, too, they're not the same elite defense that they were a year ago. So that's going to be tough to really match up with that. And like I said, I don't expect it to be a blowout like it was last year. I expect it to be a lot closer this year, maybe even lower scoring than the score indicates. So I'm going to take it's tough. And if it was in New England, I probably would take the Patriots just to be on the safe side. But I'm going to take the Browns to win. And I would take the Browns to probably cover this game because I feel like the Browns running right now, on paper, they do have a better roster, maybe a slightly better roster than the Patriots. May not be coached the same, but I feel like in Cleveland territory, I think for whatever reason they played well last week. I think they come back and they make themselves 3-3, and that's a crucial game for them to win in order for them to maybe even be in conversation about either taking the division or maybe even making the playoffs if they win this game. So I'm going to take the Browns to win this game, and I would take them to cover the spread if you'd like to. But don't be surprised also if the Patriots do find a way to beat the Browns, because that's very well possible too. And as I said, it's going to be the difference maker of whether or not Mac Jones plays or not. If he plays, it could be a better matchup, and maybe he might win. But at the same time, uh, with Bailey Zappi, it might be more likely for him to lose. So give me the Browns to win. Give me the Browns to cover. All right, another low-key game. I like the matchups for this game this week. I think it could be a much better game than people really anticipate, and that is the Cincinnati Bengals at the New Orleans Saints. So the Bengals right now are favored by 1.5. Not sure why it's 1.5. I think these kind of half points is a little bit funky. I'm not crazy for them when Vegas comes out with like these bets. I don't like how they do like the 1.5 and the 2.5 or a half point or something like that. I think it should just be a full on point. So I believe either team is not really playing all that great right now, but the favor kind of leans more towards the Bengals side, and for good reasoning too, because I feel like with the talent that they do have at receiver core, like they have Jamar Chase, who is obviously he's expected to play, and he'll probably be number one receiver for this week. With T. Higgins being very questionable, we don't know if T. Higgins is going to be playing in this game, which will probably make a little bit more sense for the targets to go more towards Chase and possibly even Tyler Boyd too. As far as their offensive line goes, it's still very bad. Joe Mixon's a great running back, but he has been given the appropriate opportunity to excel in the offense as he really should be. They should be running the ball a lot more with him, but he hasn't really been getting that kind of time this year. Now, on the other side for the defense, I think the Bengals defense is what is going to keep them in this game and keep it a low-scoring game because the Bengals defense is very underrated. They're very underappreciated, and they're just not given the respect that they deserve. I mean, look at the amount of points that they've given to, the three losses that they had. They lost to the Steelers. They gave up 23 points. So they really only gave up 2 touchdowns, really, and then the rest of them were field goals in that loss. They gave up 2 touchdowns to the Cowboys. The Cowboys is not a great offensive team, really, but that's impressive to hold them to 20 points, even with a tough defense that they were playing. And with the Ravens last week, they gave up I think they only gave up. I don't know if they gave up a 1 touchdown or 2 touchdowns. I don't remember at the top of my head. But regardless, though, either way, the Bengals defense is good. They're a very good defense. And the Saints defense is not, on the other hand, has not been playing very well. They're definitely below the expectations that I thought they were going to excel in, and they just have not been able to do that yet. So I see the Bengals. I see why they're favored. But at the same time, I also can see the Bengals also losing this game too in the dome for the Saints because I feel like the Saints play better when they are at home. That showed last week and what have you. But I don't know. It's a tough game for me to decide. It could be really a low-key, really good game this week that could go really either way. It's kind of a game I like personally because I probably have said it before and I'll say it again. I like low-scoring defensive games because if they're very well coached. Obviously, last week's defensive game with the Broncos and the Colts was terrible. It was very terrible. The play calling was trash. But if you talk about low-scoring, like good coaching games, like good defensive games that are very well coached and the right play calls are made and less mistakes, that's a really good kind of a game for me, in my opinion. I like those kind of games. So I could definitely see that going either way. It could possibly be a game of the week too. Because of how both these defenses have been playing, but the Bengals being more of the heavier favor on this point. So tough game, but I think I'm going to take the Saints to win. I think I'm going to take them to win in the upset because I think the home field advantage, it kind of goes towards their way. It kind of goes in their favor. It's tough to play in the dome. And I think Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, they'll have some LSU, moments here. So we'll see how that kind of works out for them. But I think the Saints can find a way. I think they'll have just enough to be able to come away with a victory if they get to the amount of pressure to Joe Burrow and the offensive line, which I don't think is going to be too much of an issue. But what I'm mostly excited for really is the matchup between Marshawn Lattimore and possibly Jamar Chase. That could be a really potential good matchup that I could see. and I could see Jamar Chase, really exploding and playing the best football that he can, or I could see Marshawn Lattimore, absolutely wreck him and cover him the entire game where he can't get a target or a reception. Very well possible. So I'm taking the Saints to win the straight up. And for the Bengals, I probably would take the Bengals spread just to be on the safe side because of how the Saints have been playing lately. All right, next game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are traveling their way up to Pittsburgh. Tom Brady, the GOAT, the man, the myth, the legend, is traveling up to a familiar foe of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the difference is this time is that Big Ben is not going to be at this game as he's retired, obviously. So he's going to be facing a new rookie in charge, Kenny Pickett. Bucks all the way. I'm taking the Bucks. Should be an easy one to, give an analysis on. It's the Bucks. The Bucks should win this game. The Steelers are just not a very good team this year. Sorry to say it, Steelers fans. I know you'll probably come on later and say, like, how dare you say that the Steelers are so bad this year? But I'm sorry, folks, but they really are not a very good team this year. I don't like anything about the Steelers this year. I don't think they're really going anywhere this year. And I don't think this is just not a very good a very good matchup for the Bucks. The Bucks should take advantage of this pretty easily with all the amounts of injuries that are going on with the Steelers right now. They have a ton of injuries right now, and in the secondary core, and with T.J. Watt being out too. So without some of those real key players on that defense, they don't play well. So I'm taking the Bucks to win this game, and probably could take the spread. I could probably see them covering the spread as well, despite being at Heinz Field. All right, next game, we've got the San Francisco 49ers who are traveling their way. They are 5.5 favorites to the Atlanta Falcons. Now, this is another game like the Bengals and the Saints. This game is also another game that could go really either way. I like the way the Falcons are playing this year. I think they're kind of like the Lions of last year, where people, including myself, were expecting them to be like the very first possible 0-17 team to maybe like 1 to 2 wins this year. That so could very well be the case, but I think the Falcons are just a very feisty, offensive, explosive team. Marcus Mariota is playing pretty well. I think even with his stats not really exactly showing it, but he's playing well enough to get the team some wins here and there. And the defense of the Falcons, surprisingly, and it's something that we have not seen really when Matt Ryan was there, the defense of the Falcons is actually improving a lot more than a lot of people were thinking of them. I think really if you're going to beat the Falcons, I think your best bet really is going to probably be passing the ball like crazy, maybe managing the clock a little bit, tiring out that defense. And that could be very well be the case of you beating the Falcons. But the Falcons are a better team than people are giving them credit for. Let's just put that out there right now. The Falcons are a better team than what they're given credit for, and it's shown in the first 5 weeks of the season with the games that they have played. They have yet to be blown out yet in a game, and they have not been. So that's good for the Falcons. I think that's that's something that's really good for them. Now on the other side of the 49ers, yes, the 49ers are still, I guess you could say on paper, they are the better team. I mean, the better defense, obviously, it's tough to really beat against this 49ers defense. Offensively, it's coming together now that Jimmy Garoppolo is back into the lineup. Deebo Samuel's getting involved again. He's coming back to on earth to be Deebo Samuel and being, doing really well for the team. And as far as running backs go, right now it's Jeff Wilson with the injury to, Eli Mitchell. But Jeff Wilson, they can run the ball well with Jeff Wilson. They can play defense very well. And, that's really all I got to say about the Niners. They're just a very well coached team, but the Falcons are also very well coached as well. And that makes it very difficult for me to really pick between the two teams. So it's a tough one. I like this matchup. This could be a low key one of my personal favorites and possibly even best bet for this week. This could be a game I could be betting on this week if things turn out to be to go the way that I hope for. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna take. I think the best thing for me right now, I think who's really likely to play right now, or likely to play to win right now, I think will probably be the 49ers. I'm going to probably take the 49ers, and, just a very slight, at the slimmest of margins. I think they take this win. I don't think they're going to take they're not going to cover the spread. I probably would avoid betting on the spread this week. I don't think they're going to exactly cover it. But I do think the over under could be a best bet for you this week, or even the parlay too. The parlay could also be something, or even the money line. But I think I would avoid the spread because I think 5.5 could be just a tad too high of a spread to really cover for this team with the Falcons playing the way that they are. So I'll take this 49ers to win the straight up. And as far as the spread or the bet, I probably would take the 49ers over under. I would say the over and under. That probably is your safe bet for that game. All right, next up, you've got the New York Jets. Jets, who are going to Lambeau Field. This time it's not London, the other New Jersey team that faced the Packers and beat them. This time it's the other New Jersey team, the New York Jets, Jets, who are traveling to Lambeau Field to take on the one and only Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Now, I talked about a little bit of it last night, and I did say that the Jets are playing well, and I still stand by that. The Jets are playing very well. They're playing good football. They're very competitive. They're physical. They're aggressive. They're playing a lot better than a lot of people, including myself, are. I was not expecting this Jets team to have this much of success early on this season, but the fact is that they are. Now, at the same time, does that mean that they can beat Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau Field? Well, let's take a look at that. So, the defense of the Green Bay Packers, I believe, is totally overrated, has not really shown anything to me yet to really say that they are anything special despite with all the newscasts and what all the reporters are saying about them. I have not seen really any success or anything that kind of wows me yet. I have not seen any of those kind of things yet. But at the same time, it's Aaron Rodgers, it's Lambeau Field, it's the Green Bay Packers. It's tough to beat Aaron Rodgers at home. It would be a different story if it was in East Rutherford, but unfortunately for the Jets case, it's in Lambeau Field. So that makes a very, a wide worldwide difference in this whole case of scenarios. So I don't know. It's a tough game. I could definitely see the Jets pulling out the upset. I definitely could see that happening, but it's tough to win in Lambeau Field. I think my straight up, just because of my conscience, my heart wants to go with the Jets. I want to see the Jets really win so bad in Lambeau Field because I just like what they have. Guys, this is a good Jets team this year. This is a young, very feisty, and they're a very hungry Jets team who has not had a really good season in a very long time. They're due for a good season. Due for a good season. And and if they could beat the Packers, that would be a big statement win. So it really makes it very difficult to pick this game or bet on it. And like I said, I'd like to see the Jets win. That's where my heart is, but my brain is telling me to pick the Packers, and it's for obvious reasons, and I explained them before. It's because it's Lambeau Field, it's Aaron Rodgers, and it's the Green Bay Packers. You can never really go against the Packers at home, despite with them almost losing to New England a couple of weeks ago. But I'm taking the Packers to win. Okay, I'll take them to win the straight up. As far as the spread goes, avoid the spread or wait till it goes down a little bit because I think it probably will go down or go up. I think it kind of depends on the injuries and what they have. I would avoid spreading on the spread this week and probably as far as bets, how would I want that? How would I want the bets to be this week? Because I feel like 7 is a lot of points. Yeah. Or in some cases you could probably pass on betting on this game. But you probably won't want to. But I'll take the Packers to win the straight up. As far as the best bet goes, could be a best bet for this week. I guess you could go with the Packers on the money line, I guess, just to be on the safe side, because I think just 7 points is just too much, and especially against a team that's, against the New York Jets that a lot of teams don't have any respect for yet, and it's a little bit of a shame for me to say that as a New Jersey, as a New Jersey, person. I think it's just kind of embarrassing for me to say that. All right, so next you've got the Minnesota Vikings, who are 3.5 point favorites to the Miami Dolphins. This one's going to be kind of a short one to explain here, but the Dolphins, I know it's their home field advantage. Yes, I probably would take the Dolphins at home if Tua was playing or if Teddy Bridgewater was playing. Without those two quarterbacks playing on this team, I don't expect them really to do a whole lot. That kind of showed last week against the Jets. So I'm taking the Vikings to win. I don't see a lot of success going with this Dolphins defense. Uh, Not sure how this is going to really match up. I don't know if Xavier Howard is still injured or what his story really is. He should be, as far as I know, should be in this game, but he's kind of been up and down kind of lately the last 2 weeks. So not sure how that will all really play out. I think we're back, guys. Okay, yep, we're back. Sorry about that. I don't know exactly what happened, but thank goodness I didn't have to stop, the video or anything. So I'll talk about where I last left off. Okay, so I'll pull up the graphic again. I'm sorry about that, guys. Not sure why that happened. So please forgive me for that. So thank you for your patience and holding on. I'm just glad I wasn't able to. I'm just glad I didn't have to stop the live stream again and have to create a new link and all that other hassle and whatnot. So here we go. We'll talk about the game again. The Vikings and Dolphins. I was explaining to you a little bit. It's tough to really pick between these two teams because I feel like it's obviously it's in Florida, so that's tough. But I think if Teddy Bridgewater or Tua was playing in this game, I would confidently say the Dolphins would win. But at the same time, too, with the third string quarterback, do you really want to go with, the Dolphins really winning this game? I don't think they deal with the third string quarterback. And the defense, too, that's really kind of lacking this year. They're not really playing up to par. They're not really playing anywhere as like expected to this year. And that's also not something that you really want to write home about. So I'm going to take the Vikings to win. I think the Vikings offensively, I just don't see really any corners for the Dolphins, like Xavier Howard. If he plays in this game, I don't really expect him to. I don't really expect the Dolphins to really be able to cover someone like Justin Jefferson. And if they can't cover him, then they won't be able to cover all the other receivers. And I don't think they'll be able to stop the run with Dalvin Cook either. Even with a very bad Vikings defense, I still would go with the Vikings to win because they pull off enough with their offense to win the game because their offense is just very good. The Vikings offense, where you got Kirk Cousins having a great duo matchup with Justin Jefferson and with other receivers that are really good too, like Adam Thielen and KJ Osborne. And then you've got Dalvin Cook in the run game. Like this Vikings team, as long as they could play like a team, they could pretty much do anything they want on offense. They can run, they can pass, they can do a lot of good things. So give me the Vikings, the 3.5. I'd say they cover the spread pretty well. So I'll take the Vikings to win. Let's go. All right, next you got the Carolina Panthers and the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are favored by 10.5. That's a lot of points. That's a lot of points to really bet on, considering of how bad the Rams have been playing lately. They're just not playing anywhere up to par. They're not playing anywhere of where anybody was really expecting them to play. So that's a little bit of a scare for me to really think that the Rams could win by 10.5 points. I don't think it's necessarily possible for that to really happen. But again, it's also football, so anything can really happen in any kind of football, in any kind of early day game. Never really know. But I don't know. I don't feel confident of them really taking up to that advantage of winning by 10.5 points or betting on it. As far as the straight up goes, I will take the Rams to win the straight up because even with the Panthers and how bad they've been on offense, even firing Matt Rule is really not going to do this team any more favors right now after losing your head coach. And with Baker Mayfield having a high ankle sprain, that he's going to be out for a little bit. We don't know how long that's going to be, but he's going to be out for some time. And now you got to turn to your third string quarterback now, not even your second string. Sam Darnold is still on the IR, and it's still not looking good for him to come back anytime soon. So you got to turn now to the famous FXL football quarterback of PJ Walker, which is not very good to really see. I don't think PJ Walker is really anything good for this team. I don't think he helps this team any better. So I'm confidently taking Sean McVay. I trust Sean McVay to find ways to win the game for the Rams. Matthew Stafford could have a good game. He could come back and win. If any way the Panthers do win this game, it would have to be an absolute miracle. So I will take the Rams to win the game, but I don't think I would take the spread. I probably would wait until it either lowers or think about betting on the over-under, maybe the parlay or, the money line, because I just think 10.5 is just way too much for a team that has not proven anything yet. All right, next you've got what I think is probably going to be the game of the week, the Buffalo Bills. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. This is going to be a tough, they're probably their toughest matchup they're facing this year of the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Bills are favored by 2.5 points. I'm a little surprised that Vegas is actually going with the Bills to be favored for this, as we've all seen the last time when they were favored. And look what happened. They lost in probably the greatest playoff game of all time, or at least one of the greatest playoff games of all time, and maybe even the decade. It's another great game. I'm really looking forward to this matchup. This is probably going to be my favorite game of the week. I like this matchup a lot. I think it really sets the tone for Josh Allen. It sets the tone for Patrick Mahomes to face two teams that are coming off of really, really extreme starts. They're both playing really well. The Bills defense is playing great. This is the best Bills defense that we've seen in quite a long time that could take advantage. And Patrick Mahomes is playing back to Patrick Mahomes, unlike he was last year. The regular season game last year, the Bills took advantage of that and they won pretty handedly. And then the playoffs time, it came to be a lot more of a different story for them, and they ended up losing that game sadly in overtime based on the coin flip. It's a really good matchup. I like this game. This should be really my favorite game of the week. But I like to see the Buffalo Bills win. I finally would like to see Josh Allen. He beat Patrick Mahomes last year in, I guess you could say, convincing fashion, but this is really his time now to really showcase what he really can do with a Chiefs team that is fully healthy and with the defense that can do what they can against the Chiefs offense. So I'm taking the Bills. I like to see the Bills win. I like to see my man Josh Allen win. He's my favorite quarterback right now in this league. He's the best of what he does. I like to see him, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis. I like to see them all get involved in this game. And I think they can do that. So go Bills. Take the spread. Feel confident about it. Love to take the Bills for this game. Let's go. Another great matchup for this week that could also overtake the game of the week is two really good teams that we're not expecting to really be as highly competitive in the NFC East as they are right now, and that's the Dallas Cowboys, who are traveling up here to the East Coast to play the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles, I have no clue why they're favored by 6 points even. I think that's just way too much of a spread for the Eagles to win by. Yes, their offense has been playing phenomenal. Jalen Hurts is playing his best football right now. Yes, I absolutely 100% agree with anybody that says that. But this is a division matchup here. I think that's just way too, really too nervy to really take 6 points against a team that is also playing really well in terms of defense. This is the best defense right now, or at least one of the best defensive units right now in the Dallas Cowboys, or at least we've seen in a really long time from this team, to face off Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, who are flying high right now. It's a great matchup. I like this game a lot. I like it for a lot of reasons. I like the Cowboys defense to match up really well with the Eagles offense. And what I mean by that is Jalen Hurts in the passing game. There's a lot of questions that are going to be answered. Can Jalen Hurts be able to scramble around, do what he has been able to do in recent weeks? Is he able to do that? Can he get this passing game going to really electrify and really take advantage of the Cowboys secondary and Trevon Diggs? Are they going to be able to run the ball? Now, on the other side of things, the Cowboys, is Cooper Rush going to finally lose a game as a backup, or is he going to just continue his winning ways? It's a tough game to really pick. I like to see the Cowboys win. I don't like either one of these teams, but I think the Cowboys and that defense, I'd like to see them really get to Jalen Hurts in the offense. I'm taking the Cowboys to win in what could be considered maybe the slightest of upsets, or maybe even a bigger upset than people really think. And the reason why is because of how the Cowboys offense has been playing. They have not been playing the best offense that we've seen. The offensive line is a struggle, and it's a problem for this team. But Cooper Rush is manageable enough to win you games. Just keep that in mind. He's able to win you games when he really absolutely positively needs to. And we saw what happened last year with the Cowboys and how they owned the Eagles. That could very well be the case this year again with the Cowboys. And even if they don't really do anything much on offense, they have their defense that they can rely on and will match up very well against the Eagles offense. So I'm taking the upset. I'm taking the Cowboys to win. As far as the spread goes of the Eagles, I think that's just way too much. Guys, if you were really thinking of betting on this game this week, I probably would wait until at least Saturday night into Sunday and see where the spread ends up being, right before the game, because I just think 6 is way too much for a division game. All right, next up, the final game of the week, heading into week 6, the Denver Broncos, who are traveling across not across the country, but maybe a few hour flight to Los Angeles to play the Los Angeles Chargers. Two teams that were very high expectations this year. I thought this would have been a better matchup than the score, the paper indicates. But right now, with both teams really being banged up, it's really not that great of a matchup or that much of a worth of a game really watching. So we'll talk about it a little bit. The Chargers are favored by 4.5. So the Broncos, as we all know, they're very sluggish. They're a team that can't find their true identities yet, and it's just not looking very good for them. They're not a very good team. Russell Wilson is not playing up to where people were expecting them to play as. That's a problem. If you can't get this offense really going for you, especially with all the years that you've had in Seattle and, with all that stuff, this is just not the same Russell Wilson that we've all used to know and love. He's just not really there right now. I don't know what's going on with this team. It's just not up to par where they're supposed to be. So that's a problem to me. Now, as far as, the Chargers are dealing with a lot of issues right now too. They're also dealing with a lot of issues in terms of, they're dealing issues with both sides of the ball. Justin Herbert is playing right now, as we all know right now, but he does have a rib injury that's going to take a little bit of time for him to really recover and play back to where, we all used to know and love seeing Justin Herbert play. And there's also problems on that defense too. Maybe could be considered an overrated defense right now. Could be an overrated defense right now. And that's really, saying something that, with this team. So with that all really being said, it's a tough team. It's a tough game to really pick between the two teams. Because of how the AFC West is going right now, there's a lot going on there right now that I'm not loving every single thing that's going on in the West. All the teams are not really living up to the expectations that most people thought they would have. And it's just, I don't know. It's a tough, I don't know how else really to explain it because it's tough. It's tough. And, you kind of feel bad at the end of it all. So who do I really feel more confident in taking? I mean, the Broncos, no offense. I mean, they've played very well against the Chargers before. Maybe that's more because it's more in like Mile High. That makes it a little bit more competitive for the Chargers. And, with the Chargers not really having a lot of they don't have a lot of home field advantage success, I guess you could say. Maybe that kind of ends more towards the Broncos way. It's tough. It really is tough. So I think with really all that being said, I think the defense of the Broncos is the vocal point of the team. I think the defense is playing, really up to where they're supposed to be. I think they've improved in a lot of areas than they had a year ago, especially when it comes to stopping the run. I think they're doing a lot better with that. And I think they take more advantage of that. And that'll give more Justin Herbert some problems there too. And it could be probably the best defense that Justin Herbert has faced this year, if I'm being honest with you. So I'm going to probably take the upset. I probably will take the Broncos to win this game because I have that funny feeling. I'd like to see the Chargers win, but I just have that funny feeling inside of me that I feel like the Broncos aren't going to go 2-4. I feel like they're going to go 3-3. I just have that gutty feeling. That's where my heart is going to go. I'll take the Denver Broncos to win the game, despite with all the injuries that they're having. As far as the spread goes, maybe take the plus 4.5 and see how that goes. That probably wouldn't be a bad bet to really make in this game. So I'll take the Broncos to win straight up and take the plus 4.5 for the Broncos. And I lied. I apologize. I do have one more game, and I skipped it. I apologize. And it's the Arizona Cardinals who are traveling their way to the Seattle Seahawks. The Cardinals are favored by 2.5. Okay, so the Cardinals did lose. They lost. They kind of had some unluck go there, right? With the kicker missing that field goal right at the end of the game, a very makeable field goal. So that really hurts a lot. And if Matt Prater does not come back, I could definitely see Seattle winning this game. And quite truthfully, I kind of want to see Seattle win this game, and I think they will. I'll take the Seattle Seahawks to win this game, and because I'm taking them to win in this game, and I'll explain it, is because I like the way that Geno Smith is playing for this team. The defense for the Seahawks is terrible. They could be they could be at least the second to worst, maybe even the worst defense in this league. They're very bad on defense, but Geno Smith is playing well for the most part, I feel like, and with all the receivers that he does have help. He has DK Metcalf, he has Tyler Lockett, and with Rashad Penny being out for the rest of the year, Kenneth Walker probably could really step in and maybe even make some big plays for this team, potentially. And with the Cardinals, as far as the Cardinals, their defensive side of the ball is also not very good, but they're also just not playing very well as a team. They don't play well as a team, really. And I heard some rumors that DeAndre Hopkins was going to come back. I doubt he's coming back this game. I don't believe he's coming back this game. I don't think he's coming back. Um, maybe not. He's kind of still questionable. He might be back for this game. He may not. I don't really know personally. But expect him to probably miss at least one more week and see how that really goes. But I'd like to see the Seahawks win. They're a heavy underdog. They shouldn't have too much of problems with a very bad Cardinals defense. I would say I don't think they should have too much of a problem there. But it'll be a high scoring game that probably would be more worth of probably taking both the plus 2.5 for Seattle and probably take the over under because I could see this game being over for sure. So that's what I would do. Seahawks, I'm going to take them straight up. And as far as bet goes, maybe the plus 2.5 and potentially the over under because I could see this game going over the amount of total points that maybe on FanDuel Sports. And with that all being said, that is all of my week 6 predictions of each and every single game for this week. So this is the very first week where we're having some buys. So I'll read aloud to you the buys, the teams that do have buys this week. And it's the Tennessee Titans that are off this week, who are ending the week or going into the bye week being 3-2, and that's really good for them. I think they're looking like they're getting back on track. They're getting themselves figured out, and so I think they'll be just fine. The Texans, who are coming off of a win last week against the Jags, they're 1-3. Oh no, I'm sorry, 1-4, 1-3-1. I would say, yeah, there's something like that because they did tie against the Colts. The Las Vegas Raiders, who came off of a really, really depressing loss to the Chiefs. Very depressing loss, sad loss to the Chiefs. And they're 1-4 right now, and they're looking to get themselves back on track after the bye week, and we'll talk more about them heading into week 7 for next week. And then the Detroit Lions are off this week as well. So, and Detroit's coming into the bye week as being 1-4. They got to get some things. They got to get themselves figured out. They got to get themselves seeing what they could do. And yeah, so that's how I would look on that. So those are 4 teams that are off for this week. Hoping they're getting very healthy, and hopefully they'll be back next week and maybe turn their season around. So with that all being said, folks, thank you so much again for tuning in. That means a lot to me. It means a lot to the YouTube channel and what have you, for you guys to really tune in and be able to listen to my voice for at least an hour. Really means a lot to me. So thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. Before you guys log off for tonight, I saw someone put a like on this video. Thank you so much for the one person that did. Make sure you tell your friends and your football fanatic friends and family, what have you, to check out this YouTube channel of JP Football Fanatics. And before you do that, just make sure you drop a like if you haven't already. Also, leave some comments down below and help me improve on my YouTube channel and see what I could do better for the future. And also hit that subscribe button as well. If you can hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, you will be notified every single time that I come on YouTube live or I post new content on the channel. So thank you guys again so much for tuning in. This is your boy, JP Football Fanatic, saying peace out, everybody. And I hope you all have a great night and enjoy the rest of your week and enjoy the football weekend of week number 6. Thank you all for tuning in. God bless. Thank you. Have a great night.